In this video, I'm going to be running you through 7 of the best upper body hockey exercises that you can do at home to get stronger on the puck, improve your shot power, and believe it or not, become a more explosive skater. Stick around to the end though, because I got a surprise for you that you're not going to want to miss. Let's go. This video is going to be centered around something that's known in kinesiology as the Serape effect. The Serape effect first got introduced into sports science all the way back in 1970 by McKinney and Logan's data. It's essentially a simplified way in which you can view both the accelerators and decelerators of high performance movement. For example, we're training our upper body very often to improve our shot power, right? Well, when it comes to your shot power, it is a high to low, high velocity, cross-directional movement pattern. When I am taking a left slap shot here, I am going to be loading my left serratus anterior, my left external oblique, but then that is going to cross my rectus abdominis into my right internal oblique, and then ultimately into my right hip flexor and adductor abductor complex. I am loading and exploding in a cross-directional dynamic fashion. The Serape effect perfectly trains the body horizontally, vertically, and diagonally, both in the anterior chain and posterior chain, so that you have the exact accelerative and decelerative forces you need to become an all-round better hockey player, but you're also perfectly balanced in the upper body, which makes you injury-proof out in the ice. Let's get to the first exercise. The first exercise that I want to run you through is the dive bomber. The dive bomber is an incredibly difficult pushing-based exercise that trains vertically your anterior chain. You're going to be training your core, your chest, your triceps, and your anterior deltoids all in one, running through a vertical movement pathway. So we've checked our first box in the Serape effect. This exercise is great for strength and hypertrophy, and particularly good for keeping you strong on the puck. Up next, we have the Pike Push-Up. This is basically the body weight version of doing a shoulder press. Like the dive bomber, it's training the pushing muscles of the body, but due to the angle that you see Kevin at here, there is much more emphasis placed on the shoulders. This is important to care about because your shoulders are one of the prime drivers for improving your shot power. Make sure you create as much of an angle as possible and drive the top of your head straight into the ground so that you do truly replicate the overhead press. Moving on to the next exercise, we have the X-Up. The X-Up is one of my all-time favorite core exercises because it perfectly trains that diagonal pathway I was talking about in respect to high to low, as well as low to high cross-directional force potential. This is going to play a big role, not just in your shot power, but absolutely in your skating speed as well. When you are skating out in the ice, you are cross-directional with every single stride. You are creating equal and opposite forces with your lower body and your upper body on every single stride that you take out in the ice. This can, in a very real way, limit your skating speed if you don't have the upper body power to negate the accelerative forces that your lower body can create. Upper body and lower body need to be working in unison if you want to be the fastest skater possible. The X-Up is great for shot power, core development, and skating speed. Get it done. The fourth exercise that I want you to include in your upper body hockey training is the bird dog. Now, where the X-Up cross-directionally trained the anterior portion of the body, the bird dog is going to cross-directionally train the posterior section of the body. So where the X-Up trained the front of your shoulder down to the front of your opposite hip, the bird dog is going to train the back of your shoulder down to your opposite glute. This exercise, you can think about it as if it's training the rear delt and lat, but then cross-directionally moving into your opposite glute. And then, of course, you get an equal and opposite balancing effect because you're doing this movement on both sides. What a lot of people underestimate about the bird dog is two big things. Number one, this is the exact same muscle coordination pattern you want to train to get a harder backhand, but number two, you actually load these muscles to be faster out in the ice. When I am taking a stride and I am concentrically contracting here, the upper body is shortening, but where I'm shortening, taking a stride this way, my back is lengthening so that it is lengthening and loading just like an elastic so I can explode on the other side. That structural balance, creating anterior and posterior chain stability, is what makes you faster and improves your backhand. The fifth hockey training exercise I want to run you through is the bodyweight Renegade Row. Now the Renegade Row, even though you're not rotating, is actually a core rotation exercise. The reason why this is true is because it trains what's known as your anti-rotation muscles. You see Kevin in a perfect push-up position here, but then he brings one arm up slowly to his shoulder. If he was to allow gravity to just take him to the ground, well then that side of his body would collapse. But the focus of this exercise is to actually have perfectly parallel shoulders with the ground and perfectly parallel hips with the ground. When you do this and you fight gravity, you're now anti-rotating this body to maintain your position and therefore creating a very strong core stability effect within your entire core complex. In terms of bang for the buck, this is training the anterior chain and the posterior chain at the same time, which puts it in a rare group of exercises that get a lot done for you at the same time. And the fact that it's going to keep you stronger on the puck and really improve your all-round hockey performance, because you can't not connect core strength to anything you do out in the ice, makes the Renegade Row a must for any hockey player out there. Moving into the sixth exercise that I want to show you in this hockey training video, I got to catch you back up to speed and remind you that for the Serape effect to be complete, we want to train vertically, horizontally, and diagonally on both the front of the body and the back of the body to ensure we're getting all of the accelerators and decelerators responsible for the best hockey performance. The dive bombers are in place to train the anterior chain vertically. The X-ups train the anterior chain diagonally, and the Renegade Row is training the anterior chain horizontally through anti-rotary movement. Now the bird dog had the posterior chain diagonally, which leads us into this movement now, which is the Superman that's going to train the posterior chain vertically. This is going to give us complete development on both the front and the back of the body. The Superman here training the upper back, the middle back, the lower back. It's hitting the entire posterior chain, and if you want to stay strong on the puck, you need great posture. This training your entire posterior chain is going to train your posture on an entirely different level. If you've ever ran into a hockey player out in the ice and you were the one that bounced back off of them and you thought, oh, that guy is sturdy, that's because he's got excellently strong posture muscles. That's what the Superman trains, as well as shot power, because when it comes to shot power, you need a strong back. Check all of those boxes and get the Superman done. Moving on to the last exercise of this video, we are going to be going through the YTW. Now technically it's 3 exercises all in one, but you and I got a lot to talk about, and I want to make sure you're the best hockey player possible for watching this video. The shoulder YTW is going to train the upper back in a very effective way. In anatomy, you always want to train the muscle the way in which the muscle fibers are directed. For example, the bicep is simply articulated downward. So a way in which to challenge the bicep is to curl it upward. Easy enough, right? The upper back is all over the place. There's muscle fibers pointing diagonally upward, horizontal, and diagonally downward. This is why we're doing the shoulder Y, the shoulder T, and the shoulder W to ensure complete structural development of the upper back. This is very important for preventing shoulder injuries for hockey players. Hockey players spend the entire game and practice and even lots of their dryland work in flexion. In order to create balance, we need to strengthen the extenders so that we can avoid shoulder injuries out in the ice and ultimately also have a harder shot, because your upper back does play a very big role in doing that. To prevent shoulder injury, improve your shot power, perform these YTWs, and really try and get a good squeeze on the top of every rep, just like you see Kevin performing here. Those 7 exercises are some of the best exercises for upper body training in the entire hockey world. Why? We trained the entire Serape effect for perfect hockey training results, and even threw in a couple of extras such as the Pike Push-Up and Shoulder YTW to take your performance from good to optimal. These exercises are all found within our bodyweight-only off-season hockey training program that you can find at hockeytraining.com/programs. And before you leave, don't forget to pick up your free explosive speed package in the link below. Let's go.